Big thanks, big ups to Kyle Kalinske, who has been on it. He's a badass, man. We do need to look at alternative media because the corporate media does not tell us what we need to know. Now, so apparently we had Obamacare, now we're getting TrumpCare. So with all this health care, man, we Americans should just be drowning in health insurance, right? We just have health care coming out of our ears. We just, go to the hospital, and as soon as they say, just you're an American citizen, well, shit, we will take care of you. Have no worries. They don't even give a shit, if you're covered or not, because you're an American. Of course you have health insurance, right? I mean, the wealthiest country in the world, every industrialized nation has universal health care. Every single, even Cuba. Cuba has, Australia, Canada, Mexico. That Mexico achieves universal health care, enrolls 53 million new, more people. It says it nears universal health care goal. All 100 million Mexicans have health coverage. So even Mexico. So first of all, let me drop one fact for you about the health care bill. And then I'm going to tell you about my geopolitical situation. Then I'm going to read the STEM article from Wikipedia about TrumpCare 2.0. So the fact is, this is a massive wealth redistribution. This is a tax cut for the wealthy. The 0.10%, they don't have to pay. The $200,000 more dollars get put into their bank accounts. So it's like a $600 billion tax giveaway. But the number that I want to admit, the White House even admits to this, 26 million Americans will lose their health insurance. $594 billion worth of tax cuts for the rich. $594 billion. Just in case the top 0.1% didn't have enough, now they get $200,000 more in their bank accounts. So now they can, buy, more cocaine for all their, garden gnomes. I don't know what the fuck rich people buy. But that's a massive redistribution to the uber 1%. Not just the 1%, but the 0.1%ers. So, and then Planned Parenthood was defunded, and then Medicaid. Medicaid, this goes straight after Medicaid. This goes straight to the heart of the Medicaid expansion under Obamacare. So, over the next 10 years, $880 billion would be cut. Will be cut. $880 billion over the next 10 years will be cut. And Trump said that nobody would be cut from Medicaid. So, even the White House admits 26 million will be cut from Medicaid. By the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, the nonpartisan group that does analysis of these bills and projects how it will turn out. In TrumpCare 1.0, they estimated 14 to 24 million Americans would be kicked off of health insurance in the next 1 to 10 years. So the Medicaid health insurance for the poor. Now, the White House actually says it's more. So I would believe what the White House says because they would try to hedge their bets, right? They're not going to sit there. So 26 million, at the very least, 26 million are going to be cut. Within $880 billion in the next 10 years of Medicaid is going to be cut. Donald Trump said that none of this would be cut. Donald Trump said Medicaid wasn't going to be cut. It's going to be the greatest plan ever. It's going to be wonderful. Everybody's going to love it. Nobody's going to love it. You're cutting the shit out of it. You're going straight for the fucking poor, and you're helping out your rich billionaire crony. Explain my geopolitical situation. I am living in the city of Pueblo in the state of Colorado in the United States of America. Also the county of Pueblo. So there's actually two local governments here that compete with one another and have redundant services. And then we also have a rogue militia that goes around beating the shit out of everybody else. But that's a different video for another day. So Colorado, the total population of Colorado, according to 2010 U.S. Census, is 5.5 million people. 5.5 million. So 7 years ago, maybe it's a little bit more, right? Maybe 6 million people. But when it comes to politics, what matters? Well, it's the elected voters, the registered voters who actually go vote. So 2 million people actually went to go vote in the 2014 election. 2 million. John Hickenlooper won with 1,006,433 votes. So just barely over 1 million. Colorado gubernatorial election 2014 had Hickenlooper got 49% of the vote with 1,606,433 votes. And then the Republican, Bob Beauprez, he got 938,000 and some change. Libertarian candidate got 39.6 thousand votes. Green Party got 27,000, and then there was 2 independents that also got, about 1.4% of the vote. If you take the Libertarians and the Greens and the 2 independents, they actually added up to enough votes that they could have turned the election, but just barely, okay? So they will have a spoiler effect, and that's good. I'm glad the Greens actually ran somebody. But 2,041,574 total voters, and it took 1,006,433 votes in order to get the governorship for John Hickenlooper in 2014. Because of my geopolitical situation, what it means is my 2 senators, 1 Republican, 1 Democrat, is, they're going to hear from me, right? They're supposed to represent me. And then my representative, Scott R. Tipton, who's a Republican sycophant, Donald Trump, cockholster. He's his phone number is 202-225-4761, but don't try calling him because he already has too many phone calls. He's got his voicemail is full. He is not accepting any more phone calls from the American people anymore, okay? Yeah, he went ahead and passed this shitty fucking TrumpCare 2.0 bill that's going to fuck over the American people, but, he doesn't really give 2 shits about that. Wikipedia. The American Health Care Act of 2017, referred to by the acronym AHCA, nicknamed TrumpCare, RyanCare, RepublicCare, Obamacare Light. The Care 2.0 is a United States Congress bill to repeal the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act, the ACA. It is based on a plan first publicly released by House Republicans on March 6, 2017. When the first part of its proponents claim it is a 3-phase plan to repeal the act. The AHCA is a budget reconciliation bill that is part of the 2017 federal budget process. This status means that it cannot be filibustered in the United States Senate and thus can pass the Senate with a simple majority of votes. It would repeal the parts of the Affordable Care Act within the scope of the federal budget, including provisions contained within the Internal Revenue Code, such as the individual and employer mandates and various taxes, and also modifications to the federal Medicaid program. Consideration of the bill was postponed on March 24, 2017, after it failed to gain sufficient House Republican support to pass it. Towards the end of April 2017, Republicans began trying to revive. There is the MacArthur Amendment. So actually it is Trump 3.0, but I don't know. I think 2.0 is the 3.0. It's confusing people. 2.0 is enough. MacArthur Amendment is named after Representative Tom MacArthur, so he changed it somewhat. May 4th, yesterday, 2017, is, a day that will live in infamy. This was the repeal and replace thing. So this is what they essentially did. 217 to 213 is the Republicans that voted in favor of it. 20 Republicans did not. All the Democrats voted against it, but now it goes to the Senate for deliberation, where 52 members of the Senate are Republicans and 48 are Democrat. So the Senate has indicated that they will write their own version of the bill instead of voting on the House version. So that means all this could just be completely rewritten. I don't feel like all of it will be, but a lot of our president, who's a carnival barker, who is a charlatan. He's a two-faced, lying son of a bitch, saying whatever it needs to be said in order to, get your votes. He said that Medicaid wasn't going to be cut, so he's a lying, two-faced piece of shit. Fuck our president. Fuck this guy. He's a liar. So you cannot take anything that he says with a grain of salt. You cannot take anything that this man has to say. Redistribution of wealth. He's a traditional Republican. He's not going to be any of the hopeful things that the liberals were hoping for. He got rid of TPP, but it was already dead on arrival. What else is there? What else has Trump done, right? He's not going to decriminalize drugs. He's not going to give us ranked choice voting. He's not going to give us universal health care, universal college, universal child care. He is not going to be Bernie Sanders whatsoever. Lindsey Graham said that this was actually given to them less than 24 hours ago. 24 hours. They have a total rape job. This is just Paul Ryan is raping the shit out of the Republicans in Congress. You will vote for this because I'm motherfucking Paul Ryan. And he was like, put up or shut up. You're talking about repealing Obamacare. You going to do it or aren't you going to do it? And they did it, but barely, 217 to 213. Lindsey Graham, of course, he says that you should be viewed, this should be viewed with suspicion. A lot of these senators said they're going to rewrite the entire thing. There was no hearings about this bill, no Congressional Budget Office analysis, only 24-hour notice. None of these motherfuckers read it. So Scott R. Tipton, he voted for this thing without even reading it, okay? So Ken Buck, he voted for it. Doug Lamborn, Lamborn, Colorado representative, and Scott R. Tipton voted in favor of this. So while there's going to be 26 million Americans are going to lose their health insurance, what it means for the Centennial State, Colorado, Rocky Mountain High, 600,000 Coloradans will be kicked off of Medicaid, which is the health care for the poor. So over 500,000 Coloradans are going to be kicked off of Medicaid because of what Paul Ryan, Mike Pence, and the two-faced charlatan, snake oil man, Donald Trump, just put, in your own face, right? That's the representatives of the American people. That wasn't just a forced, they didn't just force themselves on Congress. That's forcing themselves on the American people. And they're all a bunch of hypocrites. They all said that you can't do that with Obamacare, but they did the exact same shit with TrumpCare. So lots of people are going to die. Lots of people are going to die because of what Scott R. Tipton just did. Scott R. Tipton, he didn't read this, fucking TrumpCare whatsoever, but he doesn't give a shit. A lot of people are going to die, and I bet you he even calls himself a Christian. How can you call yourself a Christian if you're a left? Paul Ryan is all about Ayn Rand, and he's sitting there basically saying it's all, all about the individual. So you're going to see health savings accounts go up. So for the wealthy, that's great because you can, throw as much. If you have a health insurance with high deductibles, then you can get a health savings account, and you can even turn that into a retirement account. So it's all going to be up to you to take care of your health insurance, which, good for like personal responsibility and whatnot, but it increases my freedom when I am healthy. When the people of your country are healthy, that increases. You don't have to worry about it. Now we're going to have medical bankruptcies are going to come back. And this was TrumpCare 1.0 only had 17% approval rate by the American people. So everybody hated this motherfucking bill to begin with. But they went ahead and shoved it through, the Congress, and now the Senate's probably going to write something up, and they're going to give, even if it's just some token thing, give Trump a victory. So, everybody's beating up on Trump in the press. People already hated TrumpCare 1.0, so that's why they rebundled it to TrumpCare 2.0, and they didn't try to allay the concerns of the American people. What they did was they had listened to the extreme Tea Party right-wing base. So they had issues, they didn't want the pre-existing conditions to be protected. They wanted, the Medicaid expansion to be rolled back. So they got what they wanted. So they actually made this worse, okay? It was a right-wing, Obamacare is a right-wing plan anyways. Now it's further right-wing. But the pre-existing conditions was actually compromised. And I want to say that's what the MacArthur Amendment was about. But the compromise on pre-existing conditions, so for insurance, there is no more pre-existing conditions. But they could say that they didn't cut it out because they're saying they're allowing the states to cut it out. So it's up to the states to cover pre-existing conditions or not, but they're saying let the free market decide. Well, the free market's already decided. So all your red states are going to go ahead and cut, the red states are going to fuck their constituency over when it comes to pre-existing conditions. They're already going to fuck over their constituencies when it comes to getting the Medicaid expansion, right? You had Louisiana, that governor, he fucked over his own constituency by not getting them the Medicaid expansion. And so what the Republicans went ahead and figured out was, like, okay, we're going to leave it up to the states, see if they want pre-existing conditions. And like, well, the free market's already going to determine. Of course they're going to, deny it. Well, okay, well, then we're going to have a separate pool of cash. In case there's some people who gets kicked off of insurance, we're going to have this big pool of money so that the people who have pre-existing conditions who get kicked off of health insurance, now the federal government is going to take care of you because you got this big pool of cash. Well, it's going to take $200 billion in order to cover everybody with pre-existing conditions who get kicked off of health insurance. Well, they put up $8 billion. $8 billion out of $200 billion that they need to cover pre-existing conditions. Planned Parenthood was defunded. I want to say the individual mandate had a compromise too, because there's something about if you don't have insurance for 63 days, then your surcharge goes up 30%. So there's a greater individual mandate, but then I also heard that the mandate was taken away, so that's probably some sort of compromise situation too. The Obamacare provisions that were popular, letting kids stay on their parents' health care till they're 26, the donut hole in Medicare. I don't know. There were some good things, but it was the individual mandate that they really fucking hated. But again, even the individual mandate has been compromised on. So Scott Tipton, he voted to take the health care away from working poor families, the 149,000 Coloradan families, the 600,000, over 500,000 Coloradans will not have health insurance because of what Scott R. Tipton did. He voted to raise the premiums on everybody over age 50 by $3,000 to $5,000 a year. He voted to allow insurance companies to raise. To the editor, Carol Newdell, she's the one saying this, but she's saying that Scott Tipton, Scott, not T, he's not a teabagger, but he is kind of a teabagger, right? So Scott Lipton teabagger, Scott R. Pippin, or Tipton, I don't know, pimping out the American people, Scott R. Pimpin, I don't know. Okay, so he even voted to allow the employer insurance companies to put caps on how much they will pay on policies annually and in a lifetime, allowing for the return of medical bill bankruptcies. So, in short, what Scott R. Tipton did is he voted to close every single one of our rural hospitals and clinics in western Colorado. No hospital can sustain these expenses when nearly half the population are uninsured. I even heard about the nursing homes. This is going to go after people in nursing homes. Nursing homes are dependent upon Medicaid, and I heard that 5% of the population actually makes up 50% of all of our health care costs. There's an age tax. So TrumpCare 2.0 even has an age tax from people 50 years old to 64 years old, just underneath retirement. 50 to 64. If you're 50 to 64 years old, you're going to pay 20 to 25% more on your health insurance. So the average premium, Okay, so there's an age tax on TrumpCare. They defund Planned Parenthood. So there's a good, TrumpCare, we care about your health, but Planned Parenthood, nope, we're not going to plan for your parenthood no more. So before they had said that nothing for abortions, but now it's defunding. No, they are taking money away from. This isn't funny. This is terrifying. But if I don't laugh, I'd cry. So Planned Parenthood is singled out. There's an age tax. The states can eliminate maternity care, and they can also rape victims. It pays the bills for over 60% of nursing home residents. People cannot care for themselves without Medicaid. They have literally no place else to go. So just take your, grandmother, grandpa, or mom and dad out of the nursing home. Just take them in the wheelchair and just dump them into a ditch. That's what the Republicans just did. So the American Health Care Act, the TrumpCare 2.0, slashes $880 billion for Medicaid in the next 10 years, which is about 1/6 of the $5 trillion it would otherwise cost the federal government. So the U.S. economy is so big that $5 trillion is just about 2% of the gross domestic product over the next decade. The bill accomplishes these cuts in part by changing the Medicaid form from an entitlement, which the federal government automatically provides states with funding based on the needs of their population, to either a block grant or per capita allocation. So that's lots of preconditions, right? If you had insurance, if you had some things in the past, that have, if you have lung cancer, or if you've had just anything, right? Anxiety, any kind of issues. But there's other things that pre-Obamacare instances that were called, preconditions. If you're a survivor of sexual assault or rape, if you're a survivor of domestic violence, they say it could give you mental issues. So therefore, you got a pre-existing condition. C-sections are also pre-existing conditions because they could have, medical issues. So there's, the loss of funding cost Planned Parenthood $178 million this year, and it's moving hundreds of billions of dollars from the health of the poor into tax cuts for the predominantly rich. This is a massive wealth redistribution, and it's not, friendly towards women, because 85% of domestic violence victims are women. There's also something about postpartum depression. Postpartum depression isn't going to be covered. So this, again, let me go with the numbers. $880 billion in Medicaid is going to be cut over the next decade, over the next 10 years. Nearly $1 trillion is going to be cut out of Medicaid. At the same time, you're going to have tax cuts of almost $600 billion, the vast majority of which benefits Americans making over $200,000. And then especially the uber rich, the 0.01%, they are going to get $200,000 more into their bank accounts. So now instead of having, $30 fucking billion, now they got $30 billion and $200,000. So, great for the rich, not good for the poor. Nancy Pelosi, ironically, doesn't seem to be in favor of putting forth an alternative plan. Why not? That's the point of the opposition party, to have principled opposition. Offer single-payer health care. Pelosi should offer single-payer health care and let them reject it. But then once they reject it and TrumpCare implodes and, fucks a lot of people over because this is a death sentence. Poverty by itself is a death sentence. And then you're going to sit there and say that mental health issues, the poor people have enough issues. They should be getting some mental health, health care. But instead of doing any of that, Nancy Pelosi offers single-payer health care. When TrumpCare implodes, then we can say, well, I told you so. Not only did I tell you so, I didn't just tell you TrumpCare 2.0 was shitty, but I offered an alternative plan, single-payer health care like they're doing in Canada, Germany, UK, Sweden, Finland. Name a fucking European country, and there already been, Romania, I think Estonia, right? Even the Belarus probably already has universal health care by now. Now, the Nader wanted universal health care in 2000. How prophetic was health care as a winning, workable, perfect solution that's been implemented in every goddamn industrialized nation, right? First world countries. And it's already been successful. It's already been successful. So that's what I think actually the Republicans should do to Donald Trump, what the Republicans did to Obama. Obstruct, 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 obstruct. For 4 fucking years. How did Gorsuch get into the Supreme Court so goddamn quickly? Be just like Mitch McConnell. What'd he say? Obama's going to be a one-term president, and they're going to obstruct the shit out of him. And the idea was that the American people wouldn't know any better. Republicans were going to fuck Obama's plans up, and then when the country didn't do very well, the Republicans would say, see, it's Obama's fault. Well, the same plan will work for Donald Trump. Obstruct, obstruct, obstruct. And, Gorsuch is in there now, so what, Roe v. Wade is that? We're going to undo Roe v. Wade now? Jesus Christ. So make Donald Trump a one-term president, Democrats. That's all you should be focused on. Give principled opposition. And when the country goes to shit, it's Donald Trump's fault. The buck stops with him. The buck stops with him. And that's all they should be focused on. That's all they should do. Hear Sean Hannity and the rest, right? That's what they did with Obama. Blame everything on Obama, even though Mitch obstructed for 8 years. So it's a political tactic, right? We're playing politics here. And the politics is make sure Donald Trump fucking fails, so that way the Democrats and liberals can unite against his failure, and we will create a brand new country based upon him failing. If he doesn't go fucking progressive, which he's not going to, so give that notion up. How did the GOP even get past the filibuster? It's like those who know the monopoly rules better, or better yet, those who write them get to do as the fuck as they please. Great legacy, Kentucky, the Mubarak of Kentucky. Mitch McConnell still doing damage today.